If you're a gaming enthusiast like I am, well, you've probably heard all about the upcoming Terminator 2D, No Fate, which is all set for a 12th December release. As I was reminiscing the good old times when side-scrolling games and run-and-gun classics ruled the gaming industry, memories brought back some of the finest specimens of the genre. Well, assuming that you're waiting for the upcoming game as much as me, I think these games will be the perfect way to warm up before you can experience the new age sensation. So, in this video, I've gathered 20 such must-play run-and-gun classics and modern hits that are gonna take you back in time for a hit of nostalgia. Blazing Chrome 2019. I have to start the list with one of my personal favourites, and Blazing Chrome is set in a dystopian future where humanity is on the brink of extinction under robot tyranny. It tells the story of the last remaining resistance fighters, the human Mavra and the reprogrammed robot Doyle, launching a desperate final mission to destroy the robot power plant and end the mechanical menace forever. What makes this such a hit for me is that the game nails the run-and-gun fundamentals, combining fast-paced side-scrolling action with multiple weapon types, destructible environments, and environmental hazards ranging from lava to laser traps. The game features vehicle segments, including hoverbikes, mechs, and jetpack sequences that break up the action perfectly. Bosses are genuinely challenging with multiple attack phases and memorizable patterns. However, some feel the story is minimal and serves only as window dressing for the action, and I'm not a huge fan of the soundtrack. No. Contra, original arcade and NES, 1987 to 1988. Contra essentially wrote the rule book for the run-and-gun genre with a simple but compelling premise. You are an elite soldier named Lance Bean, or Bill Riser in some regions, tasked with destroying the alien organization Red Falcon threatening Earth. The game throws you into an 8-stage gauntlet featuring both horizontal side-scrolling segments and vertical third-person perspective sections viewed from behind your character, immediately providing environmental variety that was revolutionary for its time. You can move in 8 directions and aim independently, even while airborne, creating a deeply satisfying mechanical foundation that still holds up today. Weapon variety includes the machine gun, laser, and spread shot, each dramatically changing your approach to combat. There are some technical issues that I can't deny, but still, the gaming community recognizes Contra as a foundational masterpiece that launched an iconic franchise, with its legacy remaining unmatched. Even modern titles like Blazing Chrome wear their inspiration proudly. Super C, Super Contra, 1988 arcade, 1990 NES. Super C brought back Bill Riser and Lance Bean for another globe-trotting adventure against Red Falcon's renewed alien forces, expanding upon everything the original established. The NES port dramatically improved over its arcade predecessor by ditching the awkward control scheme and level design frustrations, instead delivering 8 stages of pure adrenaline that feel like a grander, more ambitious sequel. I love the NES version's superior level design, and I think the platforming integration genuinely elevates the experience. The improved flamethrower weapon now deals significant damage rather than feeling useless, and the spread shot received even further refinement. Bosses are bigger and tougher, offering memorable encounters that test your pattern recognition skills. The game runs with minimal graphical glitches or slowdown, something genuinely impressive for NES hardware. I think that the game was criminally underrated and deserved more recognition. Contra 3, The Alien Wars, 1992. Contra 3, The Alien Wars brought the series to Super Nintendo with a significantly enhanced scope, reuniting soldiers across a world devastated by massive alien invasions depicted through an apocalyptic opening sequence. The game features 6 unique levels with absolutely no recycled assets or enemy placements, a rarity for the era, proving developer commitment to freshness throughout your entire playthrough. What sets it apart is the inclusion of both traditional side-scrolling segments and expansive top-down stages, where you must destroy 5 separate hubs before confronting the final boss, adding strategic depth and increased level variety. The graphics are gorgeous, with tons of colors filling the screen with zero slowdown, and each level maintains its distinct visual identity. The alien ship, jungle, and various military installations all feel completely different. Some felt the top-down stages felt more artificially difficult through cheap enemy placement rather than fair challenge design, and specific puzzle-like trap sections frustrated certain players. But for me, Contra 3 is the series' peak, or at minimum, one of the finest action games ever made, regardless of the minor frustrations. Contra Operation Galuga 2024. Operation Galuga returns to the franchise in 2024 with Bill Reiser and Lance Bean tackling Red Falcon once again, this time on the mysterious Galuga Islands off New Zealand's coast, with the familiar alien threats refusing to stay extinct. I was fascinated by the modernized approach that features 8 stages packed with cinematic set pieces, speeding trains, alien hive interiors, and biker chases through science facilities that constantly refresh the moment-to-moment action. A major innovation is the character system, introducing Ariana, Lucia, and Stanley Ironside alongside the original duo, each with unique weapon specializations. Stanley excels with the laser and environmental abilities like sealing, grappling, or hovering that provide genuine tactical variety. The game includes fully voiced characters with proper cutscenes, something traditional Contra never emphasized, though story remains appropriately light. Yeah, the game doesn't add much innovation in terms of the concept, but sometimes you just don't need to. The marginally modernized approach works well for accessibility, but doesn't break new ground like some hoped. Metal Slug 3, 2000. Metal Slug 3 represents the series at its absolute creative peak, introducing groundbreaking branching paths that fundamentally changed run-and-gun level design forever. The story follows your soldiers through various combat zones where every mission culminates in confronting towering screen-filling bosses. For me, what distinguishes it is the phenomenal weapon variety and vehicle options. The iconic SV-001 tank transforms your capabilities entirely, while you'll occasionally ride on camels equipped with rotary guns, control hover jets, and pilot tanks with jump capabilities. But I must admit that the game has its share of shortcomings. It's brutally difficult, with relentless enemy waves, bullet-hell boss sections, and genuinely punishing difficulty spikes. But for true gamers, well, what's life without a genuine challenge? Metal Slug X, 1999. Metal Slug X exists as the refined, perfected version of Metal Slug 2, everything that game accomplished and polishing it until it gleams. The story remains essentially identical. You're fighting off invaders across multiple territories, but the execution is noticeably superior, with visual glitches completely remedied and slowdown eliminated, allowing the action to flow without technical hiccups. Animation work is gorgeous, with each character transition between weapons showcasing beautiful sprite work and satisfying sound design that punctuates every explosive moment. The game is creatively conservative, but I don't mind given the overall experience. The gaming community recognizes it as an essential entry and the best way to experience Metal Slug 2's core design, though purists sometimes argue it plays it a bit too safe. Gunstar Heroes, 1993. Gunstar Heroes tells the story of 2 warriors, Red and Blue, tasked with stopping an evil empire from recovering 4 powerful gems needed for world domination, and the game refuses to play by conventional run-and-gun rules. What makes it revolutionary is the weapon fusion system. Red and Blue possess unusual agility for the genre, with wall jumping, throwing mechanics, enemy tossing, and slide attacks that create an incredibly deep moveset rarely seen in run-and-guns. Level design constantly surprises. Ancient ruins appear standard until you're riding magnetic minecarts defying gravity. Other stages feature dice-rolling board game sections, and the final stage brilliantly displays boss battles on monitor screens watched by enemies in an inventive meta presentation. At times, I felt that certain weapon combinations dominated others, or the specific levels felt gimmicky rather than core run-and-gun gameplay, but these aren't serious flaws to deter the masterpiece. Hunt Down 2020. Hunt Down drops you into a dystopian cyberpunk future where you're a hardened bounty hunter eliminating gang leaders through increasingly dangerous districts, blending old-school arcade sensibilities with modern indie polish and charm. The core loop is elegantly simple. Blast through short linear levels featuring primarily horizontal action and light platforming, and take down uniquely themed boss gangs. Each gang features memorable thematic bosses with goofy personalities that somehow complement rather than undercut the hard-boiled action. Mechanically, you can only aim horizontally, requiring duck and jump techniques for vertical coverage, but this limitation creates satisfying depth rather than frustration. I'm awed by the presentation that absolutely nails the cyberpunk aesthetic with a dark, gritty palette where colors pop exactly when needed, avoiding overwhelming neon excess. Maybe the controls could have been better, but personally, I don't have the heart to complain about a game that entertained me so much. Mighty Goose 2021. Meet Mighty Goose, a bounty hunter armed with a ridiculous gun arm and traversing the galaxy to defeat the Void King across an overworld map with selectable missions, each culminating in massive screen-filling boss encounters. The gameplay heavily borrows from Metal Slug mechanics, particularly weapon physics. The action feels genuinely fun, despite screen-filling explosions and constant kinetic energy, occasionally making it difficult tracking what's happening amid the visual chaos. Bosses feel somewhat bullet spongy rather than pattern-based, requiring extended bombardment rather than clever timing. The gaming community had mixed reactions. Some embraced the charm and frantic action as a delightful Metal Slug homage, while critics noted the premise, while adorable, didn't translate to revolutionary gameplay. For me, this was a solid entertainer, and one that I gave hours of my life to. Mercenary Kings Reloaded Edition 2018. This game completely redefines run and gun expectations by introducing deep RPG crafting systems where you build custom weapons from multiple interchangeable parts, fundamentally changing how you approach each mission compared to traditional pickup-based weapons. The story frames you as a mercenary operative executing contract missions across repeating level environments but varied objectives. What sets it apart mechanically is the crafting progression system. You gather materials during missions to forge superior armor and specialized weapons from an absolutely staggering number of components, requiring heavy grind-focused investment to maintain competitive equipment. The gorgeous pixel graphics look phenomenal on Switch, with each enemy receiving beautiful animation, despite recycled level layouts. Co-op gameplay improves the experience significantly with shared resources, though local co-op feels slightly clunky. Maybe it never quite matched developer Tribute Games' other works due to repetitive mission structure and gear treadmill design overshadowing moment-to-moment action, but it's still a must-try game, in my opinion. Super Cyborg 2015. Super Cyborg wears its Contra inspiration explicitly on its sleeve. You're an elite battle cyborg, dispatched to a mysterious island to combat the alien Zergzul lifeform threatening humanity. And the game makers have absolutely no pretense about its intention. 7 brutal stages await your perfect playthrough attempts, with the core design philosophy being pure arcade hardcore action. 3 lives with 0 checkpoints, meaning death sends you immediately back to continued respawning. The gameplay operates at frenetic speed, with enemies arriving from all directions while projectiles flood screens, occasionally requiring you to destroy spawn points to prevent endless waves. Bosses are genuinely menacing. Giant alien spiders, worms, and HR Giga-inspired creatures that test pattern recognition while forcing vulnerable approach moments. The criticism centers on pure trial and error sections where you'll occasionally sacrifice lives just discovering safe paths, feeling somewhat unfair rather than perfectly calibrated. However, I still love the game for its hardcore dedication. Rogue Stormers 2016. Rogue Stormers mashups classic run-and-gun action with roguelike procedural generation and RPG progression systems, creating a hybrid that shouldn't work, but absolutely does through careful mechanical balance. You're fighting to save Ravensdale by charging through 7 increasingly challenging procedurally generated levels against waves of enemies toward an ultimate evil. But if you die, you restart from the beginning. Classic roguelike punishment. 5 unlockable character classes each possess unique skills and base weapons, adding significant replayability. I really appreciate how the level progression feels appropriately escalating without becoming frustratingly unfair, and the game encourages co-op playstyles where teamwork genuinely matters. I sometimes found the game to be a bit too difficult, but that's taking nothing away from the roguelike run-and-gun fusion as thoughtful innovation rather than gimmick. Xenocrisis 2019. This game positions you as Commander Darius, dispatching elite Space Marines John Marsh and Sarah Ridley to infiltrate Outpost 88, a research facility overrun by aliens requiring immediate militant intervention and survivor rescue. The gameplay represents a multi-directional shooter evolution inspired by classics like Robotron 2084 and Smash TV, where enemies attack from all angles, requiring 8-directional movement and aiming. This is distinctly different from traditional left-right run-and-gun mechanics, demanding different spatial awareness and tactical positioning. The multi-directional perspective actually emphasizes gameplay variety. You're constantly moving in unexpected directions, ducking around obstacles, utilizing roll mechanics for invulnerability frames against overwhelming projectiles. However, criticism focuses on the game's difficulty absolutely crushing newcomers. This is punishing arcade territory with zero mercy. Boss designs received mixed reception. Some felt genuinely clever, while others seemed artificially stretched with annoying attacks. Overall, the game was universally appreciated, and I am no exception to that. Super Time Force Ultra 2014. Super Time Force Ultra presents a completely unique run-and-gun experience where time mechanics fundamentally change how you approach stages. You can literally rewind mid-mission, respawn at previous moments in time, and watch your previous selves fight alongside your current self, creating impossible puzzle scenarios. Rather than traditional lives, you possess limited time missions to accomplish objectives, adding temporal pressure that increases with each failure. The game travels through multiple historical periods, with 4 acts, each featuring completely fresh level design, from flying through heaven with jetpacks to escorting atomic battering rams. For me, the level variety genuinely impresses, with clever design that constantly surprises. The music and sound design absolutely shine, with charming chiptune tracks complementing over-the-top slapstick destruction. Some criticized the time mechanics occasionally creating confusion rather than clarity, though I found incredible depth in the gameplay. Broforce 2015. Broforce is an absolutely absurd celebration of action cinema franchises packed into a run-and-gun experience where you rescue famous action bros. Rambro, Brominator, Brotank, etc., each becoming selectable playable characters with unique abilities reflecting their cinematic counterparts. The storyline remains deliberately simple. March left to right, gun down enemies, rescue trapped bros in cages, and execute increasingly explosive environmental destruction. What makes it brilliant is the sophisticated level design, despite apparently anarchic visuals. Absolutely everything is destructible, creating emergent physics interactions. Explosive barrels chain react, destroying pathways, and fuel tanks become rockets when ignited. The game rewards stealth-adjacent approaches, where you avoid alerting enemies rather than forcing constant action. The gaming community praised Broforce for being smarter than its silly premise suggested, combining exceptional mechanical feel with brilliant level design, and I couldn't agree more. Elevator Action returns. 1994. I became a huge fan of this game because it transforms the original Elevator Action's unique elevator puzzle premise into a fully realized run-and-gun adventure, where you're paramilitary operators combating terrorists across numerous floors. The objective requires entering all red-colored doors within each stage before reaching the exit. Miss one door early and you're permanently cut off, creating intense pressure and mapping demands. What distinguishes it from typical run-and-gun is the 4-way scrolling transformation. The original scrolled only vertically, while Returns adds horizontal scrolling, expanded environmental variety, and significantly more complex level architecture. Weapon variety includes upgraded firearms, missile launchers, and automatic weapons beyond the default handgun, with limited ammunition management becoming tactical. I also loved the fact that Elevator Action Returns was a worthy spiritual successor, maintaining the original's unique identity while substantially improving gameplay depth and player agency. Ultra Core 2019 release of a 90s run-and-gun. The game was originally developed in the 1990s, but unreleased until 2019. Here, you're a lone elite marine fighting through robot-infested corridors, attempting to escape each level while gathering limited weapons and ammunition. The story remains refreshingly minimal, just enough setup to justify the action, prioritizing gameplay-first philosophy authentic to its 16-bit spiritual era. Level design emphasizes non-linearity and exploration with tech-heavy environments containing keycards, secret passages, and treasured health pickups rewarding thorough searching rather than linear rushing. Each stage functions as a mini labyrinth, forcing you to actually navigate rather than sprint forward. Visual effects impress. Screen flashing red during explosions, airborne enemies descending and impacting with satisfying results, and detailed environmental destruction. It's just that the knockback mechanics during platforming sections occasionally frustrate when you're juggling combat and platforming simultaneously. All in all, I only have good things to say about this one, so you can call me slightly biased. Mech Extermination Force 2019. Mech Extermination Force represents a genuinely unique hybrid. It's fundamentally a boss rush experience where 14 massive mechanized enemies comprise the entire game, but each battle transforms into an action platformer where you're simultaneously fighting and navigating the mech as stage. You're tasked with discovering and destroying weak points while constantly avoiding devastating attacks, requiring both shooting precision and platforming skill. The sense of scale genuinely impresses as the camera dynamically adjusts to always showcase your colossal opponent. Backing away reveals the full mech, while close combat zooms in for intimate moments. Attack variety ensures you're always responding to new threats, while discovering weak spot weaknesses demands spatial intelligence. Mechanically light, the game feels slick to play with controls responding precisely to player input. The one criticism centers on initial control unfamiliarity. Button remapping feels a bit fiddly early on, though this resolves through practice. I've always celebrated Mech Extermination Force as a creative reimagining of run-and-gun fundamentals, blending Contra action with Shadow of the Colossus scale, creating an entirely fresh experience, despite simple premise. Alien Hominid Invasion 2023. This game repositions the classic Alien Hominid franchise from pure side-scrolling run-and-gun into a mission-based roguelike shooter, where you're clearing procedurally selected levels across a tabletop board game-style overworld. The premise remains delightfully absurd. You're invading Earth as an alien, executing objectives while collecting purple crystals for vault deposits. But the longer missions take, the stronger enemies become, creating time pressure mechanics alongside traditional survival. Movement feels snappier and more responsive than the original, with dodge mechanics and underground burrowing abilities adding traversal depth. Character progression systems include mutations and costumes allowing stat improvement or ability acquisition, creating meaningful build variability across runs. Mission-based structure perfectly suits portable play like Nintendo Switch, making it ideal for short burst sessions. However, the repetitive objective structure sometimes overshadows the exceptional gunplay. I'd still say that Alien Hominid Invasion is more accessible than its predecessor, while maintaining core identity, though some longtime fans felt the mission focus undercutted pure run-and-gun purity. The Switch version's excellent performance and portability made it particularly popular, despite criticisms about repetitive progression structures. Terminator No Fate 2D 2025. Finally, we arrive at Terminator 2D No Fate, released October 31st, 2025, which brings the unstoppable T-800 and Sarah Connor into glorious pixel art arcade territory across thrilling missions recreating iconic Terminator 2 Judgment Day moments alongside original scenarios. The premise has you experiencing T2's story through authentic arcade gameplay spanning both 1991 present-day missions and future war sequences where you command the human resistance as John Connor against Skynet's mechanical horrors. The development team at Bitmap Bureau has maintained that each difficulty setting fundamentally changes the experience through modified boss attack patterns, tighter timing windows, and escalating mechanical complexity, meaning hard mode genuinely demands different approaches rather than simple stat adjustments. The detailed 2D sprite artwork meticulously recreates beloved T2 characters, the T-1000's distinctive silhouette, and Skynet's mechanized arsenal through painstaking pixel artistry. Boss battles promise adrenaline-pumping encounters against Terminators and Skynet forces spanning unique challenges. The game explicitly avoids modern complexity, instead doubling down on arcade fundamentals refined across decades of run-and-gun evolution. In short, this is everything that you can look forward to and I have really high expectations from this one. Marvelous verdicts. Ready for Judgment Day. The run-and-gun genre has evolved from simple arcade foundations into a deeply respected discipline, combining reflexes, spatial awareness, and mechanical mastery. These 20 games represent peaks of achievement, the arcade originals that defined expectations, the ambitious 16-bit sequels that expanded possibilities, and the modern indie masterpieces proving the genre remains vital. Whether you're experiencing these classics for the first time or returning as a veteran, each title offers something essential about what makes run-and-gun gaming fundamentally special. Now, gear up, memorize those patterns, and prepare for the future war ahead. The Terminators won't terminate themselves, and you are humanity's last hope. Let me know in the comments below which ones are your favorites from the list, and also share your thoughts on the upcoming Terminator game.